and the topic is medical marijuana and medical marijuana cards and what it means to be legal. A lot of issues and problems on his hands at the moment. And, folks, for a lot of people out there, they use, marijuana on a daily basis. No matter what the cause may be, it's certainly better than, this gentleman's name is Keith Popularum, and he's in Iowa. And I want you to introduce yourself, and then I want you to go over and welcome back to Gallagher's Grip. This is your host, Daniel Gallagher, coming to you live from the Gallagher's Grip studio here in lovely Southland, Chicago. I have a awesome guest on my show who reached out to me and said, Daniel, we need to absolutely bring up this topic. You need to speak about this topic. This topic has created a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos. And for this particular gentleman, it's created a lot of problems for him just recently. And the topic is medical marijuana and medical marijuana cards and what it means to be legal if you do or do not cross state lines when you do have these cards. This is a good man. He told me the story. He's got a lot of issues and problems on his hands at the moment because of misunderstandings, because of detours, and because of the fact that this particular man needs to have a marijuana scenario in his world because of all the pain that he is experiencing. He's got very bad hip pain. And, folks, for a lot of people out there, they use, marijuana on a daily basis to help them with the pain that they're experiencing, no matter what the cause may be. It's certainly better than heavy duty drinking, and it's certainly better than getting hooked on opioids. This gentleman's name is Keith Popularum, and he's in Iowa. And Keith, it's a pleasure to have you here on the Gallagher's Grip Show. I appreciate you reaching out to me because I think this topic is the real deal. And I want you to introduce yourself, and then I want you to go over exactly what happened to you, and let's share to the world the issues that I believe need to be brought to light at the federal level where changes need to happen.
So, my name is Keith, and I'm with Dan here. So one of the issues I have with the medical marijuana is we can go to these other states and legally buy in the store, in the dispensary, no matter what it is, the amount you can have. They don't care. They'll sell it to you. And so I bought my year's supply worth from Michigan at the dispensary, and I was coming back home, and I got detoured through Wisconsin. And it just happened. I was in a small little town, and a little sheriff pulled me over. Said he sold marijuana in my car, and he searched it. They found the whole thing I just bought from Michigan, which ended up being about 600 grams of weed, with the charging me $200 to $1,000. They hit me with a repeater. They said I maintain a drug house, which I don't. I have a business. I legitimately have my own company that I run, a nice property management company. And why would I jeopardize my company selling weed? That just makes no sense to me at all. That logically doesn't make any sense when I can show them my business. And
Okay.
They're seizing my vehicle over it. They took my phone. They seized the cell phone over it. They're literally hurting my business because now I got to spend up to $20,000 for an attorney to cover this, to fight this case. And it imposes a prison sentence up to 10 years in prison. Do you think someone deserves to go to prison for 10 years for marijuana? I don't.
Keith, educate us on a couple of things, because I'm not as educated on this topic as perhaps I should be. But what is considered a normal amount of medical marijuana? I believe they come in the containers when you do get them from the dispensaries.
It comes in containers like these little containers. You can buy joints. That's what I had in my vehicle that day. I had 500 of these. And then I had vapes, little cart vapes that are 1 gram vapes that I bought. There was about 80 of them. And I don't see what is so wrong with this when I can go buy that amount legally in a store. And I got all the receipts here. Literally, I had them printed out again from the store that I bought all this shit from. Which I can't see why they can sell all this to me in a store legally, and I can buy it and then I go and get pulled over, and then they seize everything and take a vehicle, and then basically screw me and everything else with the bond money. Everything else was outrageous to me. It's 100% in Wisconsin.
Keith, do me a favor. When you rock back and forth, that you kind of come in clarity and then blurry, if you don't mind. Can you just,
Yeah.
I want everyone to really hear you clearly as we proceed. So what happened is that you went across state lines.
Yeah,
You went
it's cheaper.
Cheaper. Okay, I understand that. And you went across state lines to buy a cheaper product, a product of which that you use on a daily basis to limit your level of pain.
Well,
Okay,
I'm going to explain to you. So, yeah, the Iowa dispensaries out here for medical is crazy. The prices difference is, so say you go buy 1 gram cart out here in Iowa dispensary, it's $90. I can go to Michigan and go buy literally 20 of them for like $50. Okay, that makes no sense. Why do they price gouge in these other states and other states don't? So that's where I'm getting confused with medical, because if it's medical product, it should be same across the board across all states, I would feel. But it's not. So it makes you literally want to go to another state where you save money. I literally only spent $1,200 on what I bought in cash. $1,200. It's not like I spent $20,000 and I can make 50 grand on the stuff they're thinking. It's insane to me, because it's not what it is. It's literally my personal use. I mean, I had nothing else in my vehicle but medical marijuana. I mean, to me, that's crazy. And it was sealed in a container. It was not access to me. It's the back of my vehicle. And the tub sealed, completely sealed. So I didn't have access to it. I wasn't smoking in my vehicle. I wasn't under the influence. So, I mean, I just don't see the issue of me traveling home to a state where it's legal, where it's federally, the interstate was built by the federal government. I did my research. The federal government paid for our interstate system. The states didn't pay for it. I got pulled over on the federal interstate. Now, how is that fair to me when I got to travel home that way?
Why did you get pulled over? What made them pull you over? Were you speeding, or what was the issue?
No, I wasn't speeding at all. Someone said that I passed the line a couple of times. I was on my cell phone, they said. Which I was. I'm not going to deny that. For sure I was. But the thing is, though, I mean, I know I fucked up in that, but I still don't feel it imposes a sentence of 10 years in prison, Dan. I don't. I mean, that to me is outrageous and crazy, because it's for my medical use, and that to me is, you're basically saying I'm a drug dealer, but it's not the truth, though. And that's what I want to get across. It's not. And I want the federal system really to look at the system that's broken, because it's legal in 39 states, medically, and out of 50. That to me is crazy. Why isn't it legal in all 50 by now? It should be.
Well, it absolutely should be, Keith, in my opinion. And, a sentence of 10 years for that sounds absolutely insane to me.
It's scary, man. It's the scariest thing I through the last month and a half. Fucking hurt. It's scary.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I can understand that. So you're in the position now where you have been arrested, and you have a case on you, and you are now having to defend that whole animal.
It's about 200 miles from my house. It's in a county, Greene County, Wisconsin, Monroe, Wisconsin.
So
and they're horrible there. Horrible, dude. They literally I had to sit in jail for 5 days, wait for bail hearing. They finally did it. And then, dude, on top of it, they robbed me when I left the freaking jail, dude. The officers took $100 cash because they said the taxi guy was taking forever. And I was like, I got to try to get my dog, because they got my dog locked in the humane shelter when I got arrested. So I had to try to go get him out. So I had to pay some random guy $500 to drive me home to get my dog from the shelter out there and go home. And, I said I don't want the taxi no more. They took $100 cash from me, Dan, and they wouldn't give it back to me. And I called the next day and asked about the jail, and they said they never took no money from me. So, dude, and then the top of it, they're holding my vehicle hostage. They said it's evidence. What's my vehicle being held for evidence? It's not a drug dealing machine. It's my business vehicle for my business. You're hurting my business.
Yeah, that sounds crazy to me. Let me ask you a question. How many of those vials did you say you had in your car?
I had them all in a container in a big tote. The big tote you buy at Walmart. I had
Yeah.
one tote. And it was filled up completely. I had about 500 of them. I bought all of them the same day at the dispensary because the receipt stayed from 9 o'clock to 12 p.m. when they were checking me out, checking everything out.
Well, I'm
Every
asking.
item was scanned.
Yeah, I'm asking because I don't know. Is having 500 of them in a tote, is that normal? Is that what most
Yeah,
people?
I mean, if you could buy it at the dispensary, it's $1,200. You get bulk pricing when you buy it like that. So I really save more money in the long run for myself. Because if I wouldn't buy it in bulk, I probably would have spent a couple $1,000 in total over the year, like $3,000. I'd rather spend $1,200 and save money on my medical because to me, that's expensive still. You know, it's money that we can't just take out and pick it up at thin air for us. You know, it's money we got to work hard for. So to me, buying it for the year at once is smarter. It saves money in the long run, so I would have it for the whole year.
Oh,
You
I
know,
see. Oh,
I smoke one or two a day, the three of them a day, and if you got 365 days, 500 of them is literally enough for the year. With my
hmm.
vapes, I smoke literally a vape every probably like 4 or 5 days. I'll finish a 1 gram vape, so that would last me the whole year.
But it's a bigger issue. I mean, if you have, what'd you say? We have 39 states right now that are legal in the United States
It's
of
legal
America.
medically. 39 is
Yeah.
legal medically right now. That's crazy that 11's not, and I happen to get pulled over in one of them. That's like what the city lottery.
So Keith, you showed these officers your medical marijuana card. You actually
Oh yeah,
showed
they
it to
know I
them.
have. They know I have a medical marijuana card for sure because I told them they know that they had to take me to the hospital that night because of my hip. Because I told them I can't even drive that long no more because my hip hurts so bad. I have special vehicles. I literally have bought massaging seats in my vehicle for me driving because the shit hurts to drive. I hate vehicles that have shitty seats. And then they're sitting there talking shit about all my truck to me. They cared about more about my vehicle taking it from me than anything else.
And they
They
just
didn't care at
disregard
all.
marijuana. They just disregarded it
Yeah,
across
they
the
don't
board.
care in that state. They said it's not legal in that state, so they don't give a shit. It's not for that state. So, and then they on top of it, how am I a drug dealer when I don't even know anyone in your town or your state? I don't sell drugs in your state. I don't sell drugs at all. So how are you labeling me as a drug dealer? Maintaining a drug trafficking place. That to me is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how do
Well,
I get
it's
hit with that? And that sentence
look.
is also 10 years on that charge. There's two of them that's
I
10 years back to back. Yeah, Dan, there's two
Jesus.
of them. Yeah, there's two of them. They enhanced all of them, and it's crazy to me. And that, dude, I've been scared shitless. I literally, my next court date's the 28th of May coming up for this. And it's I'm doing it on Zoom again because they let me do it on Zoom. Thank God, because I don't want to go back there right now. I gave them the bond money. Fuck.
How much was the
I'm
bond
scared to
money?
go back. What's that?
How much was your bond?
5,000 cash?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Keith, a lot of people come on this show, and I talk to a lot of people that find themselves in the in the system and getting arrested and going through stuff. I get that myself. I understand that world, fortunately or unfortunately, and at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, that world of the court system, of the legal system, of the policing system, it is simply a business. Period. End of
It is.
story. And
It's a
and and
profitable business
once
for them.
that's all it is, and most of the American citizens know that. I mean, when you get in that system, it is very difficult to get out. It costs a fortune. And you could legitimately be the guy that has done absolutely nothing, but yet you get yourself or find yourself in a predicament where you have no choice but to pay and fight and pay and fight. And it puts you through
Well,
such massive,
you
massive.
know the crazy thing about this, Dan, is I'm selling one of my properties off right now to go ahead and back these motherfuckers and fight because I have no choice to. I'm using a whole asset to fight this case, which is insane to me. Because I own my assets outright. All my properties I own cash outright. So I'm literally, because right now I'm funding another deal and I cannot use that money to screw my other apartment building up because I really want to get that. So I can't
Well,
take money from that right now.
Well, what I've read and what I've learned is that when things like this happen, it takes, it could take years. It could take years
No,
to
it is.
actually.
It's going to take a while.
Well, it could take years, and obviously the right attorney is the right attorney, et cetera, et cetera. And It's not an easy thing. It's a very, very, very stressful situation for the person going through.
The crooked thing I feel about this whole situation is honestly the attorneys too. Because look, I talked to like about 10 attorneys now. It's like I wanted to talk to different ones and see what they had to offer to quote me at. And it all been from 10 to 20 grand, but there's been a couple of attorneys that tried quoting me a tier package. That's what they called it. But they cannot promise me anything different or a different outcome, but you're trying to sell me on a higher package that can't promise me anything different about my case. So why in the fuck would you offer me that? It makes no sense to me. So me pay 10, 12, or 15 or 20 grand, and I don't get any different outcome. It makes no sense. Why would you offer that? Why would you even tell me that?
Go through is they hire an attorney and the case just goes on and on and on and on, 2 years, 3 years. And then, perhaps they settle, perhaps they do not.
But see now, Dan, where you see those cases that do take a couple of years is where the population in the cities are higher. So there's a lot of people living there. Where I got pulled over at, their population is really little. They barely have 1 or 2 court cases a day. So their court cases move fast in that town, I found out. So potentially 6 months, within a year, I'm going to know what the results are. What sucks is I found a property management company that run my business in case something does happen. And I do get screwed and have to go to prison because I don't want to lose my business. I'm a legit paying tax citizen that, dude, it's going to hurt someone more than put me in prison over some marijuana than leave me out and leave me on probation or something that's a different outcome than this. But I really feel they need to change this system because medically, I don't feel like you should be put in prison over a medical prescription, basically. It's basically my prescription that I got pulled. If I can have a regular opioid in a pill bottle that my doctor gave me and I can travel state to state with that, which I feel is worse, and you could kill people driving, taking opioids because you get tired and go to sleep. But they're okay with that. But me having some weed in my car is the same fucking thing as me having 200 pills of opiates in my bottle the doctor gave me that I could abuse and take more of that they don't give a shit about. They rather have these people on opiates because these doctors, it's a revolving door system for money. And I finally told them they can keep their pain meds. I don't want them because I feel like they don't do nothing for the pain. It's just, dude, you're getting hooked on a drug the doctors want to put you on, and you tell them you don't want to take the stuff. And honestly, I feel medical marijuana is a healthier option. It's a safer option. To me, it is.
Well, it's what a lot of people also believe as well. And, I would tend to agree with you. When people do get hooked on the opioids, the real, true, heavy-duty pain pills, that's a narcotic. People get hooked on that. We hear about it all the time.
I'll be honest with you. I was addicted to opiates for a while. I was, dude. When I had my hip replacement and all that, they put me on high doses of these pain meds to where I got to the point where I was taking a couple hundred pain pills a day. A day. I was buying them off the street. And I was at to about 110 a day, Dan. That, to me, broke me, and I got clean. And I refused to go back taking that shit because I know where it's going to lead me into a grave. And I refuse to screw my life up over drugs that the doctors want to keep giving me. And I'm telling them I'm an ex-addict and I shouldn't be on these medications and I should be on something different like weed or something natural that's not going to get me addicted to something that I like. Right. And I feel it's wrong. And what's crazy? That I tell them when I literally last year in the hospital, I said, hey, I'm abusing street drugs. They still gave me a prescription for Oxy 30 to go home with. Now, how smart is that?
Right.
That's basically enabling an addict. And that's when I finally was fed up with the shit because I felt they didn't even care about my own life or my health and they're doctors. And I'm telling them what I'm doing. And I just don't feel it's right. I don't. I finally got a doctor to give me another medical card for weed and I feel it's safer for me.
But when you do take a step back and you get older and you start to really look at reality, it's a slap in the face because you realize just how much the hospital system and the insurance system is truly, well, it's broken beyond belief, but it all boils down to money. It's a person and a file. And, the first, it's funny because, well, it's not funny. It's ridiculous. But the first question you get asked, no matter what, is, do you have your insurance card? It is just, the way I see it is such an unbelievably broken system filled with snakes and scam artists. It's
But
unbelievable.
you know
I
what's
believe
crazy,
that.
Dan? The other countries that around us that most of like Scotland, all these other European countries, they offer free healthcare to their citizens. Every single one of them. Why?
Yeah,
Why isn't America the wealthiest country of the goddamn world? Why don't we have free healthcare for our citizens?
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
understand that now. I don't. We should. We should have access to healthcare no matter what. Anyone should. But
yeah.
they all
And
they care about is insurance and money. My
that's all it is.
surgeries, which I don't feel as cost, you can go to other country and get what I had done for 1/4 of the cost. 1/4 of the cost. I literally is over $1 million in this one surgery. That to me is crazy for a hip replacement. I've
Well,
seen the bill.
the insurance world at large, the medical industry at large, it's utter insanity. Crazy is not even the word for it. It's mind blowing, mind boggling.
$50 for a Band-Aid? That's
Oh,
insane.
oh,
Like,
yeah, no,
you
it's
gotta look at all the
indescribable.
itemized details on your insurance because I started doing that and that's what really shocked me. I mean, I like, some of the shit they charge for is outrageous. Beyond
Well,
crazy.
this is not in the world of heavy duty drugs or narcotics, but I had another guest on the show, and they were on that Ozempic weight loss shot, right? Have you ever heard of
Yeah,
that? And they're at $2,000 a shot. two
it's crazy.
thousand a shot, not for a month. 2,000 a shot. So I mean, what do you get? You're at I believe you take one a week.
24,000 a year?
That's well, no, one a week, right? You take one a week. It's two
Oh,
thousand a
one a
shot.
week? I thought it was once a month. That's what?
I
That's
oh,
two,
I
eight.
think it's
That's 96,000 a year.
that's right.
That's
I'm pretty
literally
sure.
that's someone having a whole career, giving them the whole job career money for the whole year.
Yeah, no, it's completely out of control. And going back to your scenario, I feel very bad for you because at the end of the day, whether you like it or I like it or we don't like it, the real truth is you're going to have to spend money. You're going to have to fight like hell. You're going to have to prove that you're not what they say you are.
Hey,
And when
yeah.
all of that is said and done, it is in the arms of a judge and two attorneys. In fact, I'll back up. It's in the arms of two attorneys who will be talking behind the scenes, trying to cut a deal of some kind about you and your life, and you'll have no say so over it whatsoever. You'll hopefully
Nope.
get to a settlement offer where they present it to a judge and the judge accepts it. It's a big scam. It's a massive, big, total scam across the board.
And the thing is, I was gonna hire an attorney from Illinois. He's licensed on the Wisconsin side also. But the only thing is he has to file probate PACA to fight in that county because he's not registered in that county because it's farther up north, But my only issue with hiring him is he doesn't know the DA, and I feel hiring an attorney up there where they know these people and they work with them on a daily basis for at least 10, 20 years. I'd rather hire someone like that because, but my issue is he's way cheaper. He's quoted me at 3,000. I actually told him I'll give him $2,000 extra to fight my case at 5,000, but everyone else in Wisconsin is 10,000 and better. Every other lawyer.
But to fight a case, right? You've got the arrest, you've got all of the documents, you've got the pictures, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, here's a guy that went to go find a product that he is licensed to have in another state. He chose to go to another state to actually get that product for much cheaper and decided to buy it in bulk. Because he did that, because he chose to make that decision and buy that product in bulk and get it for a heck of a lot cheaper. He's medically marijuana certified. He's got the card, but because he went to a state that doesn't allow that and he got pulled over for whatever reason, now he's being viewed as a drug dealer, a drug distributor, and that is what absolutely has to change because, look, there's people here, even in these states that have the medical marijuana cards. And at the end of the day, they go and buy all this product and there's no problem. I mean, medical marijuana is legal everywhere. Let's call it what it is. Everybody smokes weed. Everybody I know smokes weed. Everybody who needs it smokes weed like it's going out of style. Even when it wasn't legal, everybody was smoking weed. They were doing it for for the reasons why the other 39 states woke up and said, well, maybe these people actually need to do this to feel better. I know so many people that smoke marijuana medically because they have to, because they need to, because it truly does take away the pain factor, and they don't want to get hooked on opioids and what the Vicodin and Oxycontin, oxycodone, and oxy this and oxy that, because it does get you addicted. And even you admitted 100 plus pills a day, that's outright insanity. However, if you're a smoker, you know how many cigarettes do you smoke a day? Hypothetically 20, 30, you get addicted to it. It's hard to kick that habit. And I do understand that. I used to smoke for a couple of years, and it was challenging.
To me, it's different because if you don't have it, you feel like you're dying the next day. Which to me, I really feel that's a setup for failure for a lot of people that's on long-term opioids. Because once they don't have it, dude, you go into a really bad withdrawal symptoms, which is not good for someone. Mentally, physically, none of that. You can't sleep, Dan, for like 5, 6 days. I mean, who wants to have a life like that where you're literally stuck to something that's controlling your life? It's a medication that's literally controlling you like a robot. And I feel like the doctors want you on those things because they can control you better. And I feel like there's basically a revolving door system there, how they get you back into their office. It's because they know you're going to come back every month for those meds. They know you're going to have a visit, and they're going to charge for it. And they'd rather have you long term than not. The doctor kept telling me a year my pain would go away, a year. And then 2 years. It's now on 3. I finally got a doctor, an office out here in Iowa, the University of Iowa City, the hospital out there, the orthopedics. They're doing a second opinion finally. They're getting all my records from all the surgeries, everything from the very first one to the second surgery. Literally again, every last record, because the very first surgery I found out never should have happened to me. A doctor did unnecessary surgery, and that's when my pain went tenfold. And then I had my replacement not even 2 months later after that, which should have been done the first surgery. And I found this out later on when I had other surgeons from a different hospital look at the original MRI. And they said, yes, you are already qualified for original replacement, full replacement in the door. It should have happened. They should have never did that surgery because it was never going to work because I was in stage 4 of my disease and a vascular necrosis, which is a rare condition that I got diagnosed with. I didn't ask for this to happen in my life. I didn't want this to happen to me, dude. I didn't want to be on any kind of pain meds ever in my life again. And if I didn't even have this pain, I wouldn't probably be smoking weed, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't need nothing.
What is your pain level now? What is it really at now?
It's up there. It's at a 10. I'm taking another medication called Suboxone. It's an opiate blocker. But it does take my pain away some. It does bring it down to like a 6, 7 where it's tolerable to where I can actually do things. If I don't take anything, even with the weed, I still have severe pain to where I told them I want to die some days. So literally, I was in the ICU 2 weeks ago because I fell down my stairs in my house and my leg got really messed up again. And that's why I finally got my second opinion. But they were giving me ketamine, Dan, in the hospital with fentanyl. And that wasn't even touching my pain. And I told them this. I said, dude, stop giving me these medications. This is not even helping at all. Jeez. It was not even helping no more. And I finally admitted to him, I didn't want it. I didn't want the med. I just didn't want it because it's just not fixing my problem.
So, Keith, when you smoke weed, right, does that take your pain away to the point where...
No, it helps me go to sleep. Okay. Honestly, I don't have something to go like that to go to... I can't sleep. My pain keeps me up. I sleep probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I don't sleep a lot. These last 3 years, the pain wakes me up every couple hours. And it's like it's hard to go back to sleep. So I'm smoking all that and take it back out. And that's how I get my sleep. I've been doing this for a while now. That's the only way I know how to fall asleep. Like, the pain keeps me up, Dan. When I wasn't smoking weed and they had me in the hospital, I would be told every 3 hours I was on the freaking Dilaudid IV shit and oxys every 4th of last year. I would be on that shit and I wasn't sleeping barely because the pain would keep me up. So I was on time every time with the medication. That to me is crazy. What person needs all those kind of meds just to be able to function or get their pain to go away a little bit? That to me is insane. That's crazy. It's ludicrous. I just don't think it's right.
I feel bad for you, Keith, because it is crazy. And I do know a lot of people in my life that have been through many surgeries, and without those pills, they really couldn't even function. And, here's the downside. The downside is that when they take those pills, it really does affect you. Whether you like it or not, it'll affect you, and
It does.
and uh, and you have to take them so you're not walking around in excruciating pain. And the other flip side of it is, it can clearly affect you and driving and working and this and that and the other things. So, I mean, I really feel terrible for folks that are dependent on that in order to be able to function,
Like, one thing I wish the judge would understand in this case, and the DA, is I'm really am medically screwed up, and like this really does help me out medically. Like, I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a bad person. Out here, I came out. My mom died last year, and you know this. I started a business out here in her name called Thomas Property Management, which is doing really good for once. I'm doing something right and helping people out. I started with the first house, the one rental property, is helping out the homeless out here. And I house the homeless in Cedar Rapids. I work with the local police out here. I just had them at my house today. They're so grateful that they don't have to come no more to this house 3-4 times a day. They barely come out there. And they're so happy with the property and how I'm keeping it. So if I was a drug dealer, that's what Wisconsin says I am in that state, why am I not getting in trouble here in this state for that reason? Is my
Well,
question. I'm not doing anything.
Keith, the reality is simple. You're not a drug dealer, okay? And you are doing great out there, and that's interesting that you opened it, the company up in your mother's name. I think that's wonderful. But the reality is that how do you I mean, the case seems simple to me. Here's a guy with a medical marijuana card. He's been on it for God knows how many years and went across state line to buy it for a lot less more money, Your Honor. And
trying to save money. Money's hard to come by these days. Everything's expensive. Look how much all the things that we have to expand now and spend on our food. If we had Biden in office and Biden screwed our country up horribly, yeah, I feel it's wrong, and Trump's trying to fix it. He really is. He's trying to fix all the wrongs that they did to us, which is going to take a while.
Don't get me started on politics. I'm a massive Trump guy. I love what he's doing. I think it's amazing.
Too. I am. I'm 100% Trump also, because I feel that the man is fixing all the corruption in this country.
Well, he is, and the reality is that I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, if you watch me or you follow what I'm doing, I'm 100% Trump.
But it's the truth, though. You're speaking the truth about it, because it really is the truth. Trump is for the people. He is not a bot person where they have a puppet like they had Biden playing strings the whole time. That's how it was. If you could not see it, listen to cancer diagnosis. They knew that last year. They knew that man shouldn't have been in office no more. Look how the dementia was setting in towards the end really bad. He should have been kicked out of office a long time ago. He was not in the right state of mind to run our country. Look how much they laughed at us with him. Other countries were laughing at us, and we're supposed to be the powerhouse of the world. Dude, no, that's crazy. You have someone in our office that we're getting laughed at. I'm sorry, that's just pathetic. To rob the middle class and low people, the low end people, to me is even horrible. That's what they were doing.
I couldn't agree more.
And all the immigrants they brought into our country, all the terrorists and everything, and then now they're trying to block Trump. And by getting rid of these people, why? Why are they fighting this? Because they shouldn't be here. We had to work for all our things. Why are they getting handed things like that? And they're drug dealers coming, letting in this goddamn country, and they're telling me I'm a drug dealer and I'm a working productive citizen. That's actually in the top probably 12%, because people don't make $200,000 a year like that. They don't. I'm sorry, they just don't. And you're going to try to put me in prison and ruin my life over it, which I used to be a fucked up person back in the day, and I'm not no more, and I corrected my life, and I do the right things now for the right reasons to help people out, and I get back, and I actually make all right money doing it. So what am I doing so wrong in my life? I pay for my own health insurance. I'm self-sufficient, and to me, that's crazy.
There's only one thing left to do in your world, in my opinion, and that is fight. Because at the end of the day, where you were arrested, they do not care about you. They do not care about what happened. You are just a file number. The judge will not know you or get to know you. And the attorney that you hire will try to milk you. This is real world as for as much as possible. And I know you know this, right? But a lot of people don't know this. And you find yourself in a situation where you have got no choice but to fight and not quit and not give up and not settle, because at the end of the day, if you're not a drug dealer, right? And you're taking it for medical reasons, of which again is mind-boggling to me, because if you have a medical marijuana card and you were simply going across state lines, we're legal in 39 other states here for medical marijuana reasons. Everybody I know has a medical marijuana card, but yet, you can't go a little bit over here or a little bit over there to get it for a better price. That is considered a multi felony charge where you're facing 20 years in prison. I mean, I think it's so messed up. I think the system is so messed up. The prison systems, the whole circle of lunacy when it comes to bringing somebody in and booking them and putting them on felony charges and forcing them to have to spend a fortune just so that state can make money, just so that circle of law, whatever, can make money. The legal fees, the settlement fees, the agreements, the attorneys, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's whacked is the word. It's whacked.
What's even more whack is if I get probation, I found out today from an attorney. He said I would have to move to that county, to Greene County specifically, and have to get a house there and live there to do probation. So I got to uproot my life from Iowa to go satisfy that ass town who I don't want to be there. But I got told I could have it transferred by other attorneys already, but they're telling me now that they would request me to be in that town, live in that area, in that county. So I would have to uproot my whole life also and go live out there when I'm trying to have a huge business where I'm buying more assets to where, dude, I'll be probably a couple $1 million in assets in the next few months, which is insane to me. It's a lot of money. And I'm really proud of myself because I did succeed successfully at a real legit business, which I'm medically screwed up and I'm trying to fix my body, but dude, I'm going to get the 10 years in prison for this. That to me is wrong. And if even probation, 5 years, 6 years, they said that'd be the minimum time I get on probation, which that is an insane amount of time in probation. That's an insane amount. And the fines, Carrie, if I do get fined with this, it's $10,000 up to 10 grand each one. So that's $20,000 too.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount of money.
Yeah, and they don't care.
I did offer so far. I made an offer to get maxed out the fines. I don't even give a shit no more. Max me out and give me 5 years probation. I'll take it. Gratefully take it. As long as I can protect my tenants and from anything happening, because if I do go to prison, I have to get a management company. Per se, anything else could happen and they get evicted. I don't want that process happening because I'm not there. That to me is scary because I have people's livelihood in my hands because I'm a landlord also of a lot of people. And that to me is very scary. And that is more worrisome than this court case, Dan. I care more about the people in my houses than I do this court case. Because you know what? They're people. They're people. And that's what these people don't understand is that I have people's lives in my hands. And that to me is upsetting that you're going to jeopardize these other people's lives over some marijuana that was medical. Now that to me is a little by far fucked up. Like you're going to ruin someone's life to ruin a whole bunch of other people's lives over some medical marijuana. I just think that's horrible.
It's one massive understanding. It's like, hello guys, there are millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of Americans that have medical marijuana cards. Hello? What are you thinking? Are you thinking that this guy went and cleaned out the medical dispensary and actually paid for it? Okay. Has receipts that shows every purchase that he paid for, right? Keith, let me ask you a question. Now, when you go into a medical marijuana facility, do you have to, you wouldn't be able to purchase that without a card, right?
Or would you can buy recreational and medical, but recreational limits you. So if you have recreational, you get a couple ounces. Now medical, you could buy as much as you want. You could literally do the whole entire store if you wanted to, which would be a lot of money, which would be insane because I could never afford buying the whole store because they have hundreds of thousands of dollars of product in their store.
But
I mean,
my
me
question,
buying $1,000 didn't even take a dent out of their stock.
but my question
Not
to you
even
is this: when you went into that particular dispensary,
particular store,
you
yeah. I gave them my
you
card, my ID.
you gave them your medical marijuana card, and they looked
Yeah,
at
and
it,
my state license with my star license on it.
and
And
they
they know I'm
accept,
from a different state. Yeah, they accepted it. They know I'm from a different state. And they
and
let me buy all their stuff.
they sold you what you asked
Yeah,
for legally.
legally.
You walked out of the store with the product
The
and the
security guard the security guard helped bring the shit to my truck. He loaded my truck up for me. The fucking store employee did. It's on camera.
man.
That to me is what's insane. If they're willing to help me and put in my fucking vehicle, then I can do all that. I'm sorry. If I walk into a store and I have other companies, Dan, like Top Line Whipping or Top New American Home Improvement up there in Lake County, and I talked to him, Chad, about it because he runs a reputable roofing company, a multi-million-dollar company also, and he feels the same way. He says if I can walk into the store and use my debit card and purchase all this shit, how are you going to arrest me and say I'm drug dealing?
Well, my question is, you have to show your IDs, your license, your medical marijuana cards to even get through the door, if I'm correct, and then you
Right. Yeah,
purchase
they
it.
won't even let you through the door to go stop because you got to go to the desk where the lady actually scans your ID into the system, and it pops up if your ID is real or fake because people start bringing fake IDs there too. So they have a
Well,
system now that actually scans all the IDs.
you realize we're actually pleading the case right now because everything that we're talking about is truly common sense. You leave, you have a security guard actually put the product in your car, you drive down the road, you're on your cell phone, you cross a line here or there, excuse me, while you're driving, you get pulled over, and now you're this
Well,
stage.
actually, the reason why I was using my phone that day was because when I was getting back in my truck, what I was mainly concerned about was I broke my sister column on my King Ranch, right? It has a nice sister column, and I was getting in, and I tripped. My hip gave out, and I tried grabbing onto something. I grabbed till it broke off completely. So now I had no blinkers. So I was on my phone locally trying to find an AutoZone to stop at to buy this part to be able to change it out real quick for I would have working blinkers and wipers on my vehicle because they'll pull you over for that too. So you're fucked anyway. I was
Yeah, but
fucked no matter what way I looked at it.
back to the core here, and the core is that you went into a store, you were legal, they sold it to you legally, you left, you had the product with you, you're heading back to your state that you're living
We
in.
put it all in a sealed container on top of that to make sure it was safe and sealed because it was out of my reach. Because I didn't want them saying I was using marijuana driving because that's a DUI. Which they still gave me a DUI, which I wasn't under the influence, which I submitted the blood and alcohol testing. I have weed in my system. Obviously, I'm going to have weed because it stays in your system 30 days. But I wasn't
Right.
actively smoking. And you have that much in your truck, obviously you're going to smell it. I'm sorry, it's a lot of weed to not be able to not smell it. You're going to smell it no matter what. So the cop said I was smoking in my vehicle, and that's why I got hit with the DUI also. But I found out the DUI they don't even care about. It's a misdemeanor in Wisconsin. It's a slap on the wrist. It, yeah,
Hmm.
it's not a win-win situation.
Well, it's a fight. It's like
It's a
everything
fight,
else.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a fight. The whole thing's a fight. Now, I mean, so you've got
It's
guys
just
that
how much money are they going to milk me for to get what I want? Though is my question.
a lot. Yeah, attorneys will milk you until you. Attorneys would rather milk you to the point where they take every dime and not care about you going on the streets, not caring about you losing your house. I've dealt with a ton of attorneys. I'm not fond of lawyers across the board, at least some of them. And the reality is when they know that you're in a bad spot, in a bad predicament, they will charge you to the end of time. I do podcasts about
Outrageous.
people going to divorce. And it's, some of these people are spending $100,000-$200,000 on an attorney. It's insanity. It's absolutely crazy. Now, in your case, it's a criminal defense attorney, which is what you need, I would imagine, right? And Dude, the whole system, and everybody knows it. And if you've been in the system or if you've been through it, you know it. It is so messed up. It is so screwed up. And when you take a step back and you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, this is just a business for them. And once you get in
You know
it,
what they classify people as, Dan, in prison systems? They classify you as a number. You're a
yeah,
number to them because look, Illinois state prisons, they get pure inmate every year. Listen, they get $43,000 pure inmate every year. And each prison holds 2,000 inmates. Divide that up. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of cash that these people get for each prison. And we have the most prison systems in Illinois ever. Where you're at, they have the most, like 48 to 50 prisons. It holds up to 2,000 each prison. That's a lot of people, Dan. It's a lot of money.
from the state or they're getting it from the Fed?
The state pays it. The state, so our state taxes are covering all these inmates in each state, which to me is robbing our people because some of these cases should not be in prison or verse. So look, I have a friend named Megan Boss. She was just killed recently, all right, in Waukegan. Dude put her body in a trash can for 7 weeks in this new Safety Act that's in Illinois. They let this guy go, Dan. They let him go freely. The next day out of court, no bond, nothing, because it wasn't a violent offense, because he said she overdosed and he walked away and came back and she was dead and he was scared to call the police. So he put her body in a trash can for 7 weeks and put bleach on it to cover the smell for animals wouldn't go in the trash can because there's no lid on it. So he disposed of a corpse, he mutilated the body, and you're going to let this guy walk free, but I'm in Wisconsin a state over, and they're trying to give me 10 years in prison, and this guy's only going to get a year to 3 years in prison for doing that to someone's body, a person, and I'm getting up to 10 years in prison for some weed. I think our criminal system is fucking backwards. I'm sorry. It is beyond backwards, and I think it's horrible. That kind of person can do that to someone, and they only get 1 to 3 years in prison. That's their sentence that they can get maxed on. It's 3 years. That is insane. I'm sorry, and it's really backwards and sad. I feel bad for the family. I know the family personally, and that really is a horrible situation for that family. And them losing their daughter like that, and then the perpetrator free in the streets, that they have to go to the court date and see this guy walking in freely. That to me is more torture than anything, because that guy should be behind bars still. To me personally, because he didn't care about the person. We're people, dude. End of the day, I didn't hurt no one. I don't do nothing to no one. And it's just some medical marijuana, and they're going to slam 10 years, and they're going to give a person like that did someone's body, a human, someone's kid, like that to me is horrible. And they can get 1 to 3 years. Like, dude, it makes me look at life differently like that. I just don't get it. That really makes me upset and look at the justice system is backwards. Because those kind of charges, I think someone should get my kind of sentence plus some more time for doing that, because that is completely not normal. You should call the police immediately if that's happened in your freaking house, right or wrong. You should call the police, call 911, but he chose not to, and he chose to hide the body. And why they had flyers outside of his house, and they knocked on his house multiple times within that 7 weeks, and her body was right there, and her family was with him, fucking feet of her the whole time. They did not know she was there. That to me is horrible.
Yeah, that's insanity. I wasn't expecting you to bring that up, but that is a realistic.
Well, that's the reality of our country right now. That's the reality of the rules that we had gotten put in place by these Democrats, and I'm sorry, but it's honestly the real truth.
Yeah,
Illinois is ran by Democrats.
I don't think you need to be sorry. I mean, everybody's eyes are opened up to at least the Democratic Party, the Democratic lunacy. I know a lot of Democrats that I deal with, and they're wonderful people, right? I mean, you've got a group in Washington that really steer the ship, and they were just simply not steering the ship, in my opinion, our opinion, what have you, in the right direction.
For the people of our country, they cared more about other things than us, basically.
Yeah, 100%. So Keith, the moral of the story here is, the global issue with medical marijuana, the 39 states that are legal for medical marijuana, and the federal law or state laws that allow people to cross the line or a border of one state going to another state to buy a product that is cheaper in bulk so you could save some money, right?
Yeah, but
And
my question, Dan, is for this: why can't I use my medical card that I have in Iowa, and I could use it in any other state that's medically certified? Please answer that. So why should I be able to take my card to any other state? If they're telling me I can't have it in Wisconsin, but why can I go use it in another state and buy medical marijuana? I shouldn't be allowed then. I should be told no, I got to buy it in my home state.
you should be. You're
That
right.
and that is not
You're
fair to me.
It's not. It's not fair to anybody who has the medical marijuana. I mean, I have a friend of mine that actually will go to Michigan all the time and she lives here
And
in
to get it,
Illinois.
yeah, that's
We'll
where I
go to
go.
Michigan and she'll go to Michigan. She'll purchase it and then she'll drive back out because it is so much cheaper there. And
It's
you know
insane.
that does make sense to me. But she, now that you're saying this, I mean, she has the card. She walks in, she buys the product, she gets into her car, and she simply drives home, and that's it. So I mean, it just seems like there's it just seems like you have a pretty strong fight,
Oh
against
yeah, it's definitely gonna be a while for sure because once they know the DA, once they realize I was not dealing drugs, I think they're gonna look at my case a little differently. Honestly, I hope they do. But when I found out this guy's a freaking narcissist asshole, I guess the guy really he's been emailing me. The DA has been emailing me personally.
really.
Seizures about my vehicle. I never had seen that anywhere in my life ever, Dan, where the DA has personally emailed the person being in charge. They usually will not do that, which to
Hmm.
me is crazy. I have the DA's email on their freaking email. He's been emailing me. Craig Nolan. Yeah, I got the guy's
Well,
name stuck in my email.
I understand the level of stress that brings into anyone's life. I understand it because at the end of the day, you are fighting for your life. You're fighting for your freedom. You're fighting to clear your
And that's to be
name.
behind bars. That
Hundred
to me is
percent.
crazy.
I understand it, and the reality is it sucks because at the end of the day, if allegedly, if what you're telling me is 100% true, which I'm assuming it is,
I
there's
have the
no.
documents, but no.
I'm not.
But I
Yeah.
would want to. I would want to post my documents online for people to look at and really judge this case how the public feels. If I feel I can get a public vote of a couple 100,000 people how they feel about this, how would the judge look at it?
Well,
Because honestly, there should be a voting thing on this. Because honestly, if it's I'm such a bad person, why when I got out, the first person I met, the guy even laughed. He's like, "That's crazy. They're gonna arrest you for some weed, but they got meth tweakers running through this whole town doing methamphetamine and shit, and they don't stop that, but they care more about me and the weed." And like, I just think that's nuts.
it is.
I
I
do.
mean,
I don't agree with it.
yeah, well, it is. It is nuts, and there's no other way around it. And it just, I feel like wrong place, wrong time for you. And I don't know. I would love to be in the position to help you. At the highest level because you really have to just think logically here and say, here's a guy with a legal card, crosses state lines, goes into a dispensary, follows all the rules that he needs to follow to get through the actual door and then purchase the product. The security guard puts it in his truck so the man can leave and then go and go to his hometown where he comes from, but yet he gets arrested and now he's called a drug. It's insanity. It's
And
insanity.
the thing is how they treated my dog also when I got him from the humane shelter. My dog was really sick afterwards, Dan, and that really hurt me because I love my animal. Dude, he was losing his hair on his nose because he got an infection from the kennel there, dude, and they weren't even taking him outside like that. There was poop and shit in his kennel and pee. Like, I mean, my dog is trained to go outside. He's not trained to sit in the house anywhere. And they said, oh yeah, we had to walk him a lot because he wouldn't want to pee like that. But how many hours was my dog just stuck in that kennel for him to pee like that and sit in there? Because he'll hold it for a day before he does it because he does not want to do it because he knows he'll get in trouble. So he's treated my animal like shit. And that's going to hurt more than anything. Because
Heath,
that's my animal. The family.
I've always said on my podcasts, right, and it's growing, and we're really, starting to be a larger platform here. But what I've always said is, no one cares, man, and
No, they
and
don't.
and And when you really realize that as you get older in life, nobody truly, genuinely cares. This is what I've always said out loud. Unless something directly affects somebody's direct way of life, they don't care. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And, in the case of your situation, clearly the kennel didn't care. Clearly the police officers, didn't care, don't care. DA doesn't care. And I feel bad for you. And I believe that your case is strong simply because you had all the legal documentation to enter a dispensary that was just not located in the town or state that you live in. And it's a federal issue. Yeah, it's a federal issue. So if you
Dan,
could say,
there is another topic I wanted to bring up on here for people to at least learn about. I texted you about it earlier, the service coverage ratio loan. So if anyone is on the podcast listening that they want to start a rental business up, it's good to have at least a couple houses in your background as a flip to soul. That service coverage ratio loan company, they work off the house or apartment building you're going to buy, the rental income that it makes and brings in. They don't go off credit history, none of that. They go off what your business and the rental income of the property you want to purchase, or maybe get refinanced or whatever you need to do. If you already have rental properties, you could get a loan on your property if you own it outright. There's different ways, but yeah, it's pretty nice, and they go off the rental income. They don't use your credit, none of that.
yeah, what's the name of that loan?
What's that?
What's the name of that loan?
Debt service coverage ratio, DSCR.
Okay, all right, cool. And that's what you're using to grow your company.
That's what I'm using to grow now because I hit a roadblock. I had bankruptcy 3 years ago, and I can't get no traditional loans, even on the properties I own cash outright, which to me is crazy. I have dues to these properties, and I can't get a loan on them in a traditional way because I don't live there. It's a rental property. What does it make? The one house makes $6,350 a month, and the other one's making $36,000. That's pretty good money right there. To me, that's great money. And that's why I'm able to acquire and get more properties now, because I actually was able to sell the last 6 months to this company that I grew the rent and I built it up to where it's at, and they foresee that I could take on more. They feel like I could do more, and they're willing to loan it, because the new apartment building I'm taking over, Dan, it's 12 units are 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and the other 12 are 1-bedroom, 1 bath. It's a 24-unit apartment complex. It's a big purchase. But the rental income there is almost at $20,000 a month already, and it's fully rented out. Fully rented out. I'm
That's
taking on a building that's already making $20,000 a month.
Yeah,
immediately in the door. That is great. I mean, it's hard to get. It is really hard to get.
Let me ask you something. If there's one, line of advice, or if there's one, piece of advice that you would give people that are listening to this from your scenario that you're going through, your predicament, your situation with being arrested, etc. What really would it come down to? What kind of advice would you give people up?
I would tell them not to give up. If you're still trying to run your own company and you had something like this happen, I refuse to give up. I refuse to bow down, because I have other people's lives in my hand. And I feel that if something like me to go to prison, I would feel horrible if anything.
Live from the Gallagher Grip studio here in lovely Southland, Chicago.
That I did, and this happened. I was in a small little town, and a little sheriff pulled me over. Then he smelled marijuana in my car. Not give up, though. I refuse to give up. Why would I jeopardize my company selling weed? That makes no sense to me. Of all things that allow to consume your life like this. I mean, to me, it's a bump in the road, but I'm not going to let it consume my life right now. I'll let the attorneys deal with it and let go, because I have no choice to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, I can't grow myself or grow my business, because I'm too focused on one situation, which to me is crazy, which I shouldn't be. That's why I'm paying these people. And I shouldn't have to worry about this.
If it's okay with you, I'd like to have you on here, as your scenario keeps on progressing, because I think it's important for people that do have the medical marijuana cards. I think your case is going to be, a very, very good case globally to follow, to stay in touch with, to understand the outcome, because I think it can truly educate and help a lot of people.
It will help. I will truly educate the people on what what the system needs to change to get it corrected to where we aren't getting locked up over medical marijuana in these other states, but to me, it couldn't happen. Once I travel and go spend money in Wisconsin, which I lived on the border of Wisconsin 25 years of my life, and they're telling me I have no ties to Wisconsin. Dude, Antioch is on the border of Wisconsin. I lived there 25 years my whole life. So what do you mean I don't have ties to Wisconsin? I used to go across the border all the time because I lived on the border. And I still
Right.
not that far from Wisconsin. So what do you mean I don't have no ties? And then it tries saying I'm a Midwestern drug dealer. Which
Huh.
to me,
Yeah.
how do you even say that or even say that in court? Because they did. It was brought up in court in the very first court appearance. That is what the state said. The state said, the DA said against me that they believe that I'm a Midwestern drug dealer, and that's why they seized my cell phone as evidence to try to get proof, which there's no proof on there because I'm not a drug dealer. And I don't care about that phone. They can keep it. But the only thing I really want off that phone is my mom. The last video I had of my mom, that literally she gave me an A for taking care of her. That I had personally, that was literally the one sentimental thing that I don't want to lose. They can have the phone. Just give me my video. I don't care. I'll unlock the fucker for them. I don't sell drugs. I don't care. Go through my whole entire phone. I'm not a drug dealer, and I'm fine with that. Dude, I just don't want to be accused of being a drug dealer when I'm not a drug dealer.
Yep. You know
That to
what?
me is
You got to fight.
discriminating against my name.
You got to fight it.
It is.
Keith, at the end of the day, you and I both know, everyone listening knows that they do not care. They do not care about you. They do not care whatsoever. And the only way that you can move forward is to fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it, because that's the only way, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, that you're going to get the results that you need. So with your
Dan,
permission.
you know the sad reality of this, though? If I didn't have the bond money, guess where I'd be at right now? So sitting in jail. And
Yep,
that happens to a lot of people. They can't afford their bond because in Wisconsin, it's also 100%. Who has $5,000 these days just laying around to go throw at bill? Not a lot of people these days have that kind of money laying around to go dispose of and give away. You know, they don't. And they took a $50,000 truck that I make payments of $1,000 a month. Still, I gotta pay $1,000 a month, and I don't have my vehicle. I gotta go buy another one because you guys want to hold my vehicle hostage. But you're really hurting me with cash flow too. It's really affecting my business.
Yeah. And once again, they don't care.
Nope. End of the day, they don't care.
The one solution is to fight for it and to fight and fight. I'll tell you what, Keith, I super happy that you actually came on this show to share your story. It's very, very, very interesting, and your story is incredibly relatable to millions and millions of people who do, in fact, have the medical marijuana card, and perhaps some may cross, state lines to get product. And again, I told you earlier, I know many. With your permission, I am going to keep on top of your particular case, and maybe even have you back every month here and keep the public posted on the reality behind what you're going through. Is that okay with you?
It's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, until then, I wish you nothing but luck, Keith. And, literally, you got to fight. You got to fight, and you know this. And I'm going to be contacting you and staying in touch, because this particular case, I think, needs to be shed in the light. Until then, man, do nothing but fight. You got it?
Got it.
All right.
I'll see you, Dan.
I'll talk. Thanks for being on the show, man. Bye-bye.
Yep. See you.